guys, Steve Girardi here. Welcome back to Steve Strings. Today I have for you a review. In this case, it's a review of a soprano ukulele. It is a Firebrand Soprano Ukulele. Now I came across this recently and I looked it up online. I saw that these are available online as part of beginner kits. And I'll try to leave some links to that in the comments so you can see. But I wanted to give you a review of this, and I should start off by saying I do not have a positive opinion of this, and I'll go through the details to show why. First, I should point out that this instrument comes with a gig bag, for lack of a better description, and I'll put it back in here so you can see it. So this is the gig bag. It is a very thin, very flimsy material. The best I can say about it is that it is a dust cover. It has no padding at all. It has this one little wee strap on it, and I'm not quite sure what you would do with that strap because it's so small you can't even get it on your shoulder. So while it comes with a gig bag, it's really pretty useless other than keeping the dust off it. But let's go ahead and go over it. At first glance, it looks like a cute enough little ukulele, typical soprano, sort of a sprayed-on finish. Nothing real surprising there, very generic looking. But let's look at some of the details of this and you can see some of the issues. First, let's start off with a big problem. If you look at the body here, you can note that the distance between the bridge and the edge of the lower bout here is about 2.5 fingers on me. But on this side, it's more like 3.5 fingers. That's because this neck is not set square on the body. This neck is canted on the body. So to their credit, they put the bridge where it needed to be in line with the fretboard, but it is not in line with the body. Now you may say, well, does that matter? I'm not sure if that matters for tone or not, but it's just an indication of the attention to detail and build quality for the rest of this. So when I look at this here, I was looking at the neck, and on the neck, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but the neck was not really sanded sort of consistently round all the way around. Right here on the side is kind of squared off, and then it starts to get rounded, and the same thing on the other side. And right here, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but this is actually a flat area. When they sanded this, there was a flat area that did not get sanded consistently with the rest of the neck. So that's just an indication about the workmanship that went into the build of this. The finish mostly looks okay. I mean, it's a typical sprayed-on finish. No pooling here on the body. But when I look here at the neck, there is some pooling here at the heel of the neck. And when I look at the headstock, there's pooling of finish right here at the headstock, which is not great. When I look at the action on this, it's quite high action. There's probably got to be at least 3 or 4 millimeters of space between the first fret and the strings. And that impacts the playability of this. I got out my tuner and I was checking the intonation up the neck. And it is like a half a note high, between a quarter and a half a note high at each of the frets. Then that's when it's tuned in GCA at the nut. Every other position is sharp. So that means no matter what chord you're playing, you're out of tune. So how do you fix that? Well, you fix that by doing a proper setup and lowering the action at the first fret. That's the first thing. You'll also note that the action is also quite high here at the 12th fret as well. So if I were to take this and want to make it more playable, I would need to lower the action both here at the bridge and also, here at the nut, and also here at the saddle to bring that down. While we're speaking of the saddle, if you look here at the saddle, you can see that there's actually a space between when you look at the bridge, there's a space between the bridge and the body. And I can actually slide a piece of paper, maybe a quarter of an inch underneath of each of those corners and about 1/8 of an inch along the whole back of this, basically up to where those screws go in. Those two little pieces of ivoryoid you see there, or pearloid rather, there's screws up there holding it down. So bottom line is this thing is not really glued down tightly, so that's an issue. We look at the tuning pegs. It's got generic basic tuning pegs. They're kind of big, in my opinion, for such a small instrument. I'd like to see smaller buttons for a soprano, but they're generic and they've been holding tune more or less, so I don't have a beef about those, except that these particular tuners, these little like plastic collars, they don't just sit flush. Apparently they go down into the hole in order to help seat the tuning peg, but this one here is not seated flat. I've tried pushing it down, it won't go in there. And there's another issue with that same tuning peg. I'm going to turn this way. You can see that when they screwed it down, it really was unable to be screwed flush. So I don't know if this thing was bent before it got installed, but this thing is not screwed down flush. All right, so that's external appearance. We look at the fretboard. Again, the fretboard looks okay. There are no sharp spines on the side, nothing sharp, no frets. It feels good enough there. Again, this issue back here with the poor shaping of the neck, that's mostly a cosmetic kind of thing. It doesn't really affect the playability, but it is an issue. This is a laminate instrument, and if you can see there, it's actually a fairly thick laminate. This is not that thin. And so there is not a lot of resonance in this. This is really pretty dead. I mean, not much resonance at all. When I look inside there, I was looking to see if they had notched kerfing in there, and there is no kerfing at all. In fact, the only supports, there is on the lower bow, on the back here, there's one sort of supporting beam that goes across there, and there's another one right here, basically underneath the bridge. There's no kerfing on the inside to provide additional support of the back or face of it to the sides. Now, given that this is so thick, they probably figured they got enough glue contact without requiring kerfing. So let's go ahead and do a little chord progression here so you can kind of see what this sounds like. Oh, while I'm speaking of it, I should say that these position markers, they are in fact inlaid. They're not just stickers that are on there. So to their credit, that's a decent thing. Let's do a chord progression. In any event, you can see that it was basically kind of off-key throughout there, because even though these are tuned GCA, and I just tuned it just before this, they're tuned open, but as soon as you start fretting, they're out of key. Would I recommend this? No. This is being marketed as a beginner ukulele. And if I was a beginner and I picked this up and tried to play this, it would not sound very good. And I think I would be kind of disheartened because I'm not making good sounding anything. Could this be made to sound better? It could. I think that if you lowered the action, that would certainly help. If the intonation got better, that would certainly help. This sort of off-kilter neck, it may be a moot point for playability. The workmanship issues, well, it's a starter. You know, if this is just being purchased to see if a kid might have an interest in it, all right, you might want to consider that. But to give it to them for anything other than a toy, without doing a proper setup, is setting the kid up to not want to play this. So again, this is a Firebrand ukulele. I was hoping it would be an interesting little instrument that could be playable. So right now I'm considering either trying to go ahead and do some of that work I talked about to make this more playable, Or alternatively, and y'all can weigh in on this, I'm almost tempted to take this and turn it into a ukulele birdhouse. Because of the off-center neck and all that, I thought maybe I'll just put a little peg on there, put a nest in there, and hang it from a tree. I'd like to hear your opinion. Do you think I should go through the time and trouble to do a proper setup on this? Or do you think I should just make the better use of it and turn it into a birdhouse? I'd love to hear your comments. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe. If you'd like to see more instrument reviews, please let me know. If you'd like to see more of the builds that I do, let me know so that I can make videos that will meet your interests. Thanks for watching.